Welcome back to Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'm your host, John, back with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am living the dream, sitting here drinking my fake beer, Elvis AF by Brewdog. Non-sponsored, I might add. They should for what I pay for these things, by the way. Great. It's awesome. Living my best life. And we have the very lovely Lauren Kalil with us. Lauren, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I'm so happy you're here. I'm
So
so happy.
It's a repeat for Lauren. She's been on before, but she's never been on with you, Nikki, because I forget where you were.
Lauren yeah, she was off.
You were gone somewhere doing something, and so Lauren and I did a show without you.
Lame. It must have been so sad.
I think I kept referring to her as the new Nikki on that show. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost.
She would let's be fully real. She would do a much better job than I would. Let's be completely honest.
No.
Yes, 100% yes. I'm so happy to have you on the show, Lauren, because I just friggin' love you so much. And we've been joking about having like a Zoom happy hour forever.
Yes.
So I feel like this is our Zoom happy hour, kind of, except for John's drinking non-alcoholic beer and I have a seltzer. So it's a boring.
I know, and I have a water.
Oh, we're so boring.
This is the lamest happy hour, but at least I'm surrounded by great people, so it can't be that lame.
Perfect.
I am feeling happy. So there's that.
Yes.
But before people that watch this on YouTube start blowing us up over your video, you're in Georgia, and everyone needs to know, like, the South is still on dial-up. So she's on like AOL right now. So just bear with us.
I know. Now I'm the terrible guest.
No,
after 2 years of telling people, make sure you're on a stable internet connection. And now I'm here in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Your audio is synced, and that's all that I care about. So at the end of the day, because John and I have had so many interviews, and for some reason, and don't hate me, everyone, but it's always when we have someone from Canada.
Always.
But it's like, we can't, like, yeah, your internet connection, like your photo picture is not crystal clear or whatever. But like when we have people who are on such a delay that like I don't even feel like I'm having a face-to-face conversation with them, like that's when we're like, oh my God, I'm sorry, we have to cancel the show. Like we can't. We're going to cut each other off every time. I'm going to be like, can you hear me? Can you, and then you just start talking. It's like, no, let's not do this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So at least the audio in Georgia is good.
And they've got that going for them.
There's that. And they have a national championship in football. So they're happy. Okay. They're happy with everything they have right
now. Well, happy open, you two.
I can't believe that it's already here.
Oh, I can't believe it either. We haven't really had a chance to connect since it kicked off, and now the first week is done. And John, I know that you have unfortunately had to withdraw from the open. Can you tell us what's going on?
Oh, I know people are just so happy because now they're going to move up from, 115,000th, 332nd to 331st. It's awesome.
You're really opening the gates for everyone.
Yeah, no, I've been battling this cough. I got sick. Let me back up. I did a meeting with my doc this week to start to fix this cough I've had forever. And I had to do the math on when I got sick. And it started like the second week of November was the first time I got sick. And I basically have been sick. I got progressively worse every 2 weeks from November through December, to the point where at some point I had like a really nasty viral something and went in the hospital for a day and got tested and all that jazz. And it's just never fully gotten better. Like I'll be okay for, a couple of weeks with a slight cough, and then it like comes back like gangbusters. And I guess, I don't know, a week or so before the open, I traveled and came back, and same thing, coughs back. It's when we did High Rocks, actually.
Yeah.
I came back from High Rocks. And Nikki at High Rocks, Nikki's like, are you okay? You're coughing and you're stiff. I'm like, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I'm not sick. I just didn't want to believe it.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to tough it out. The first workout of the open's not a big deal. Not that, it's not a red line type workout. And I was like 4 minutes into that thing, like grabbing my knees, trying to breathe. It was miserable. Like I was like, I literally felt like I was just moving through quicksand, the whole time. And I'm like, this isn't worth my health. Like I love the open. I love CrossFit. I love competing, but man, I got to get healthy. So I decided to bail, but I'm not going to say I should have. had I logged my score, I still would have been in like the 87th percentile based on what
Oh
I
my
scored.
God. Good for you.
Yeah, so I messaged my coach and I'm like, damn, like Sick John's still pretty fit. So
Yeah.
so I felt okay about that, but I'm just gonna get healthy. So Doc gave me a inhaler. So I'm sucking on that thing like an asthmatic and nasal spray, and hopefully it'll fix it.
Yeah, just kick it once and for all, like dedicate some time to really getting over it. And then, yeah, you'll come back stronger for sure. It's tough though. It's really tough to like really dedicate time and energy to healing when there's so much other shit going on all the time. I mean, like, let's not forget that you have like a stressful big boy job, right? Like, it's not memes 24/7. People forget, I feel like. You've got like daughters that you run around after, like you've got a family, you've got like all this other shit going on. And it's really hard to dedicate energy to healing. And it's important, especially your body's been telling you for a little while now, like, hey man, we need some extra, whether that be some meds or some time off from breathing heavy, whatever it may be. So I'm really glad that you're taking a little bit of time to do that.
Definitely been burning the candle at both ends. The funny thing is Jen, my coach, has been sending me workouts to do. And today it was a dumbbell workout, which was incline bench and Bulgarian splits squats. And I'm like, this is worse.
Are hard.
This is way worse than I'm at. Like, my butt hurts now. Like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like real work, like real dumbbell work, real strict stuff, and anything that's cardio based is, kind of 70% of what I would normally do,
Mm-hmm.
and
time for some bodybuilding.
Yeah, you're just gonna get like swole.
Yo, yeah, you're gonna get a little pump.
Well, I'm pretty sure the nasal spray has some steroids in it, so yeah, I'm gonna get swole.
Yeah, let's go. You're disqualified from the open, but you're gonna look yoked.
John's no longer sick; he's thick. It's gonna be great.
He is sick. What up?
It's gonna be awesome.
Well, how's the open going for you so far, Lauren? You're on the road right now. Is that kind of affecting how it all goes down?
Oh yes. My first attempt and mind you, this season I knew in my head, Lauren, you have prioritized your career for the last year and not fitness. So you might not do as well as the previous years. The amount of sleep you've lost this year just like was not going to set you up to crush the season. And again, I only have gone as far as quarterfinals. I will never see the light of day at a semifinal. Like, quarterfinals will forever be the end of the road for me. But man, I did not plan on repeating any open workout. And then there was travel, and then I did what I've never done before. I went out the night before an open attempt.
Okay.
Like a wild woman. I don't know what like came over me. I had a couple drinks, and then I did the open the next morning, and about 3 minutes into the row, I was like, this was a very wrong decision.
Milk was a bad choice.
And I'm telling you, I was doing sets of 3 on the wall balls, like dying. So in my head, I'm spiraling. I'm like, am I this unfit? Or is this because of like decisions from last night? Maybe. Or is it a combination? I don't know right now. So
That's okay. You did it. You did the fitness.
And then I repeated on Monday because I'm a psycho. Yeah.
Did it go better?
Yeah. It went so much better. Still not very fit, but good enough for me to just like sleep well at night.
Yeah. I did the same thing. Let me tell you, I know everybody feels some kind of way about repeats. Like, people have very big feelings about repeats. Here's my feeling. I have repeated every single open workout ever for the last 12 years, with the exception of the year I was pregnant and the year that I first came back. So the last 2 seasons, right? Like, I was pregnant and then I was kind of newy-ish postpartum. And here's my theory as to why. Not because I'm a psycho, not because I think that you're crazy if you repeat them. But for me, I always end up doing them on Friday or Saturday and then again on Monday. And my theory is I'm literally already going to be working out on Monday. Like I am literally at the gym. I am not disrupting my life or doing anything wild or crazy. And if ever an open workout put me in such a position where I wasn't able to work out again for like 3 or 4 days, then like, no, I'm not going to go repeat it. But that's never happened. Open workouts don't destroy you like that for life. When you're relatively conditioned, like you can probably do it again 2 to 3 days later. And so my theory is I'm literally already at the gym and I'm literally going to be putting my body through a workout tonight anyway. Why would I not see if I've learned something in the last couple of days, learned something about myself or my approach or how to change whatever? And I have quite literally never done worse. I think maybe I've done the same in the past, but even if you do the same, it's like, okay, well, you're already there. Like I literally showed up for class. No matter what, I was going to put my body through hell tonight. So that's kind of my, like, it takes the pressure off because you don't have to do better, but you're already there. So you might as well move your body to the beat of that drum versus the beat of the class drum. If you're going to, if you're going to be doing fitness, you might as well retest it. You have nothing to lose.
I like that mindset because for me, it's actually always been the opposite. I've almost never beaten my retest score.
Really?
Because I'll come up with a different like strategy. Like I'll go to the extreme of almost like videoing myself, writing out my splits, and then trying to hold different splits where I chip away some of that rest. And I think on the first attempt, my body knows what rest I actually need. It's like, you took 5 seconds away. You needed that 5 seconds.
I hear you. I understand how that could, that would be tough. Okay. Well, I understand. I understand both sides of the coin. I know that John on your other podcast, Ben says never redo them. And I respect that mentality as well. But I just think, I don't know.
I fully believe in redos, not because I think you should, try to post a ridiculous score in the open, although that's clearly the point. I think there's value in learning learning if you can correct your mistakes from before. And if you're a student of the game, or just student of CrossFit or just want to get better at fitness, like the things you learn at the open, you should be carrying over into your training. Like this most recent workout is a really good example of, I'm sure in 2014, people were coming out hard in that row thinking they were going to save time. And now we've got almost a decade's worth of data that says, a great row and an average row, there's like a 10-second difference. Like, why would you do that?
Right.
And people have figured that out, and they figured out that it's smarter to break up toes to bar instead of big sets. And it's smarter to break up your wall balls instead of trying to go unbroken. And it's smarter to do singles on the, on the cleans. And we didn't know that. But you do have to test it, because I think a lot of people just don't even believe the pros. You hear people have done it. You're like, oh, no. I can do, triples on the cleans.
Yep.
And you try it, and you do the first one. I watched this happen. I was coaching someone, and I watched them go do the clean, and they tried to do a double, and they're like, looked at their hands like something magical had just happened. Like they couldn't believe they couldn't grip the bar. And I'm just shaking my head and laughing. I'm like, I told you, singles. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I made every single one of those mistakes at Friday Night Lights. I did 15 toes to bar as my first set. I did 20 wall balls as my first set. I did 5 cleans as my first set. And then I did every single thing you just said, John, on Monday, and got 5 reps better, finished the cleans and went on to muscle up attempts, which were comical, but happened.
Same girl, same.
Like I wasn't even going to. All I want to do is finish the cleans. That was my score in 2014. I'm like, I'd like to get the same score as 2014. I have not been working on muscle ups. I can't do them anyway. I'm like much heavier and less gymnasty than I was pre-baby. Like it was just a joke. I just wanted to finish the cleans, and I had, I don't know, like a minute left. And Matt yelled at me. He was like, you have to try. You have to get up there and try. You have to. I moved the box. You got to get your ass up there. And I was just like, okay.
I'm now going to sit on the box.
Yeah, if you want to watch me hang off of these rings for a minute, like I'll do it. But okay, it was very sweet encouragement from him. Unnecessary but sweet. Yeah, that's what counts, exactly.
What'd you think of the open tip from Dave, which someone sent to me because I'm still blocked? The new one. Yeah, the rolling ball. What'd you guys think?
I have a theory. I think it is going to be, I think the rolling ball is us all falling off the wall in every direction. And I think we're going to get upside down with some sort of handstand push-up progression where it's like from kipping to strict to turn to the new one, turn around like inverted wall facing whatever. Why are you freaking out? Is that what you think too?
Literally, I just had this conversation with somebody and I pitched the same exact idea.
Look at you guys.
We are on the same wavelength. Oh my God, I love that.
I think it's coming. I think if you pay attention to what the kind of stuff that CrossFit posts and emails and whatever, they've been doing a lot of upside down stuff. And I don't know where I heard it might have been on your other show, John.
Yes, you heard that from me because I've been telling Ben we're going to get a progression. It will include the wall facing handstand push-ups. He doesn't.
No. That, but it wasn't that, but I think I heard somewhere, and it might have been on your other show, that we're guaranteed one brand new movement in this open.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, I didn't know
that Boz said that somewhere, someone caught it somehow.
See, I was thinking what was it, like a burpee into a handstand? Have you guys been seeing? I think CrossFit has programmed it like twice in the past, maybe like month.
Like a burpee into a kick up onto the wall?
No, like a freestanding like handstand and then like almost rolling out of it. I would have to like go back and see what it's actually called, but it was like some wild experience.
I would not be surprised if the brand new movement was that new like wall facing handstand push-up somehow, or if it was some like a handstand walk and like unbroken and turn around and come back, or like a pirouette or freestanding handstand push-up or something. Like, I would not be surprised if that was the new movement. It was like a very high skill upside down something. I just bet that because this is still the open and it's still accessible to everyone, that there's some sort of either progression to get there, or you got to unlock time. Kind of like, remember quarterfinals last year? There was the one that was like, like the dumbbells, the overhead lunges. Yes, exactly. And it progressed from like kipping to strict handstand push-ups. Yeah. I like that because you don't want to like box anybody out. That's not really the point of the open, but
and that's why I'm thinking maybe it will start with like wall walks, then go to handstand push-ups, and then go to handstand walks or something like that.
Yeah. And maybe, who knows, maybe burpees with it, maybe double unders with it, like something to make it extra difficult because your heart's racing. We'll see. That would be my guess. What do you think? What do you think about I'm doing this with my hands. You know what I'm saying? The ball dropping Dave Castro clue. Yeah. Like everybody's watching this, right?
Descending reps.
Okay.
I thought it could be that.
I take away from that.
Yeah, I don't trust his clues anyway. It was like 2 years ago. He posted a donkey with a huge, and it didn't mean squat. I think he just wanted everybody to look at the donkey's unit, so.
But this year it meant something so far.
Well,
or maybe he was baiting us on week 1 to like try to get the buy-in that, oh, these matter, but now they really don't.
Or could we retrofit anything into mattering?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I wonder. He's smart, man. And he just thinks that we're going to play off of whatever he posts, and he's right. He's totally right.
That's the thing.
Well, I do love open season. I'm sorry you're not going to get to compete, John, but I assume you're still quite involved at your affiliate.
Yeah, no, I'll be up there Friday Night Lights, judging people and cheering people on. And, we have all these adaptive athletes doing it. And if you've ever like wanted to have the time of your life, go judge an adaptive athlete doing the open, man. It's a blast.
Fun.
Not only do they just work their butts off, but they're so coachable. Like,
yeah,
I talked about this on the other show. Actually, I was coaching this woman, and everything I said to her, literally everything, I go, do this, and she'd go, okay, and she just immediately implement it, And I'm like, man, I'm not that good a student. So my coach tells me to do something, I just hold my hand up. I'm like, shut up. I'm not. No,
Yeah.
It's really humbling.
That's awesome.
So I'll be there.
Good. All right. Well, I would like to get into like the whole reason why we have you on the show tonight, Lauren, which I'm
To hang
so
out with you
excited.
guys.
Well, to hang out,
Yes.
obviously, to have a happy list happy hour or whatever we're calling it. But no, I'm excited to hear your story because you kind of mentioned you have spent the last year really dedicating yourself to your career, and you've had some big moves lately. You left the Morning Chalkup, and now you're with HRP. And so I just want the full story, girl. I just want to know like what has been going on, what made you look for a shift, and what is your new role gonna entail? I want to hear about the journey. Tell us about the
Yeah. Oh
journey.
my gosh, the journey, the journey. It's so funny because I don't know if like you guys ever used to do this. Maybe you still do this, but I've always been the type of person that has like a 1 year plan, a 2 year plan, like a 5 year plan, a 10 year plan. I'm like really
Hmm.
big on writing those things out and like vision boards and just goal setting in general. And I would say the past like maybe 3 to 4 years of my life, that like strategy has totally been out the door.
Okay, we're just flying by the seat of our pants at this point.
Yeah. Like I
Okay.
said, I have like goals, but even when I don't know, when I was younger, it was like, by this age, you will be engaged. By this age, you will be married. This age, you will
Oh,
have a child. By this age, you will travel the world. Like little things
okay.
like that. And like professional goals as well. But those ones were just like the first that came to my mind because like uh, I think they might be a little bit more relatable with some people. But yeah, so I left local news, which Nikki, we need to have like a separate show.
Oh
Me, you,
my
and
God.
Sean Woodland talking about like what it was like.
Girl, I can feel my blood pressure rising. Yes, we
Yeah,
absolutely need to have a separate show, and maybe that show might be too explicit. That might need to be off the air because
right, right,
guys,
right.
let me just say that working in news is not glamorous. And when did you leave local news?
It was May of 2021.
Oh, that's so late. Holy moly. You were in it. Okay, so like I left news like literally what felt like 1 month before the term fake news became a thing. And I
Oh
remember
no, I was
saying to
in the thick
myself,
of it.
yeah, no, I was like, thank the Lord I got out because it's hard enough to do that work, period. And like, you're just trying, when you're in local news, man, like you're just trying to make a difference for your community. Like you're trying to like do the thing, bring the news to the people, tell the stories that matter. And of course, you're handcuffed by like the politics of the station and the bullshit that comes with like, you know, being forced to chase stories that you don't want to chase. And then that's hard enough. And then like the entire world decided to turn on journalists. And I was like, whoo.
Yeah, like
So rough. So that was rough for you, I
it
imagine.
not really a great time.
Yeah, no.
And and then I will even go to the extreme that I was sent to a protest and we had these, they would call them like go bags. So there would be like a granola bar, a bottle of water, a swim goggles in case they let off the
Like tear
gas,
gas.
tear gas. But my news director, I kid you not, looked at me and the other reporters in the eyes and was like, so these goggles were expensive and we want you to keep them in the box unless you feel like there's about to be tear gas. Okay, great. So I feel like there's about to be tear gas. And then I'm like fumbling with like I tried to put them on. That didn't end up happening, but I'm just like thinking in my head, like, this is so messed up at so many
Yeah.
levels. But
Zero,
so
zero regard for personal safety and well-being. Like the number of
zero.
situations I was put in where they were like this is wildly dangerous for you. And I was always alone. Were you an MMJ?
I was always
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. So like we shot and edited all of our own videos. So Lauren and I were like literally one woman shows and there's no crew, there's no nothing when they're like, go into this protest alone, young woman carrying 40 pounds of equipment. Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. Or like they would be like, oh, this like terribly dangerous human just got out of jail. We found his address. Can you go knock on his door and ask him what it's like to
Yes.
finally
Yes.
be free
Oh
after being
my God.
accused of murder? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll just anyway, we could rant on this for a long time. Let's not
Yeah.
talk about that. Let's talk about
Right.
the other
Right.
stuff.
That'll Again, that'll be a whole separate show
Oh
at some point.
God.
Or meet Nikki
Why?
and I at the bar.
For minimum wage. I'm just throwing that out there too. For literally
Yeah.
like $8 an hour. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Work weekends, holidays, never see your family. Great.
Yep.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Anyways, so I left. I was like, okay, bye.
Smart.
I'm out. Before that started happening, I was working as just a contract writer for Morning Chalkup. I had like subscribed to their newsletter. I got it every day and I knew I wanted to get out of television. I was like, I don't like stand by this anymore. Like the way that it's going, like the content that I'm producing, it just, I don't have a passion for it. I don't love it, X, Y, and Z. So I had sent Morning Chalkup an email like, hey, I would love a job. Here are my credentials. Like, what can I do? And then they took me on as a contract writer. So then I got out of local TV in May. I then was only writing part-time for Morning Chalkup for, I think, almost 3 months before then I took a full-time job at my local affiliate. So I was coaching there, I was doing their social media, and then I was also doing kind of like front desk work without a front desk. So essentially if like somebody wanted like a tour of the facility or somebody came in or like new members wanted information, I would be the person that would like help set them up with that and essentially like try to get them involved in CrossFit and just getting them into a class.
I love that.
So that was really fun. And I still work at my affiliate and I absolutely love being a part of that. There's something about waking up every morning and the first thing that I do is I go to my gym and I coach the 8:15 class. And like, I literally get goosebumps just talking about it because the community that I have with this group of people and just watching them achieve like the smallest thing to the biggest thing and just, you guys know what it's like to be an affiliate. So I love that I can still do that. At some point I was basically told by one of my coworkers that he thought that I should start reinventing the YouTube page at Morning Chalkup. And at first I gave all of this pushback and I was so stubborn about it. I was like, I left TV. I left like being in front of the camera. I don't really want to do that anymore. Or at least it was too soon. I just was not interested. So he kept pushing it on me. He's like, come on, like just start interviewing a couple athletes. I think you would be really good. Like there's like no reason to not do it. Nobody's even looking at that YouTube channel right now because a video hadn't been posted in almost a year. So I was like, okay, like whatever, I'll do it and we'll see what happens. And it was the first interview I had done since I had worked in television. And God, my heart was just so full. It like, I can't even explain the feeling, but it felt natural again. And I felt like the stars were kind of aligning again because I went through this period of, man, like being a reporter, being a journalist is my identity. That's all I know. Like, that's what I went to school for. That's what I've had internships for. I don't know that I really, like, it sounds weird, but I even thought like, I don't have any other skills. Like, I don't know like what kind of job I could even have after television because you're trained in such like a specific thing. And it just felt right. And at that point, I basically had no chill and I just made it my mission to bring back the life of the YouTube channel. And I didn't ask if I could do it. I just did it and ask for forgiveness later, which like, luckily I didn't need to ask for forgiveness. It was more like, hey, I think you should now pay me for this.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I ain't free.
Right. Like, hey, I know that you're paying me a little bit to be like a contract writer, but I'm literally doing this YouTube thing full time. And I think I should be compensated for it. Which I guess that's kind of a different story, but, so I still
TV is always thankless. It doesn't matter where you do it, girl. It doesn't matter.
You work for free, you travel yourself for free. Like any opportunity that I wanted, I kind of had to make for myself.
Yeah.
which I wouldn't regret, because doing what I did the past year by kind of setting myself to the games, sending myself to like these other competitions without like building those relationships in person, I don't think like athletes or coaches or people in the space would feel as comfortable just knowing me over like a screen or knowing me over like DMs. So I basically made it my mission to send myself to as many like in-person events as possible. And just trying to have people who I thought were thought leaders on the bottom line, which I know you used to do the bottom line.
Oh,
so
yes.
it's
Yes, I did. I feel like it's a rite of passage. You gotta,
right,
anyone in this space has got to have done something for Morning Chalkup for about 5 minutes. It's like part of
right.
it.
So it just was this trajectory that I had these really big visions, and I wanted to just create good conversation in the space. And I think there's like so many different outlets that are doing different things, but I just felt like there was this hole. Like there wasn't really this debate style show where people were talking about these huge conversations. Like people were talking about them in a like, oh, this is the problem. Yeah, that really stinks. And then would move on. But somebody once told me, like, if you have to complain about something, don't bring the negativity unless you have a solution. So I really wanted to kind of incorporate that into the show, regardless of like what side people would be on for whatever topics we were doing. After the games, that's when I started working finally full time for Morning Chalkup. But it wasn't very long, because here we are, not even like 6 months later, and the tide has kind of changed. So at some point, I knew like when I started with Morning Chalkup that was never really the end goal, that it was a good platform for me to I don't even want to say use, because like the intent was never to like use a platform or use people. So I don't want that to come off the wrong way, but almost like nobody was just going to come to like Lauren Kalil's YouTube channel.
That's right. Yep.
Or like maybe they eventually would, but I knew that like the reach wouldn't be as far as if I now utilized where I already am to kind of get myself out in the space a little bit more, and to try to do as much good as I could in the time that I was there. But eventually it came to the point where people in power, their values and decisions and some other things just like weren't in line with me as a person and as a professional. And it was time to move on and to go somewhere where I felt supported and my ideas could grow bigger than just Lauren Kalil. Because anything you see on YouTube, I created all of that, from the editing, the shooting, the late nights of making sure that everything is coming together. And now I'm with a team of people that, no, you don't need to edit these things. Like, you worry about coming up with great ideas and great questions and research, and we'll take care of like some of the back end side. So it's nice to finally like have that team and have that support and be somewhere where I feel like I can grow.
Isn't it weird? Aren't you like, no, don't I need to do the thing? Or don't I need to like turn this around for you real fast? Or like, what do you mean someone will help me? What do you mean?
I was like, oh my God, I can take a bathroom break and like hydrate myself and and care about my body.
It's wild. It's wild what coming from TV does to you, because it's such a the wild, wild west as far as like how you're expected to work. And I will say that I would like to get into like what your new role is with HRP and what that's all going to look like. But just to plug them a little bit, like working there, they are the group now that does most of the CrossFit Games broadcast stuff. And even way back when I first started, it was the same people, although their own company had not yet been formed. And when I first started freelancing with CrossFit and doing media with them, I was still in local TV news. they were the first people ever in my entire journalism career to treat me right, to provide me with a team and support and the proper salary and bathroom breaks. Insanity,
Yes.
like truly insane shit where like I would go freelance for like a weekend at regionals. And then I would be treated like I would have like a team. Like someone would literally be like, "Would you like me to bring you lunch?" And I'd be like, "What? I get to eat today? Are you kidding me?" And then I would go back to local news. What a concept. And then I'd go back to local news and they'd be like, "No food for 7 days." Like it would be
Literally.
truly insane. So those people that you're now working with have been doing it right from the start. And I will never, ever, ever be able to like praise them well enough for understanding how this kind of stuff works and for treating people with respect, kindness, and like giving them what they deserve in terms of like fair salaries and rights and breaks and like all that good stuff. So now explain where you're at. So you got plucked up by HRP, and what is the new job?
Okay, so it's a couple of it's kind of similar to what I was doing before, but basically like to the next level and like so many like really cool ideas and opportunities to come. So I work for HRP, Hamilton Road Production, and then I work like in the vein of, I'm wearing the shirt right now, Talking Elite Fitness. That's why I'm in a hotel right now, because I'm traveling through the open season to different training camps, doing athlete interviews, getting video behind the scenes. Myself, Tommy, and Sean, and Annie Sakamoto has appeared a little bit. So is Brian Friend on these preview shows that drop the morning before the open announcement. So like this week, we're looking back at like impressive athletes from 23.1, who were some standouts, who surprised us, good, bad, and different. And then they're using like all of my content that I'm gathering at training camps to also plug in the show. Like, oh, and now we're going to send it over to Lauren in Alpharetta, Georgia, who's on the road to Training Think Tank, and then interviews and fun stuff like that. So that's what's happening immediately now. So I think like a lot of that will continue to happen through the season, quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the games. I'll be somewhere for all of these things. It's just, I literally have been with them for like 2 weeks, so a lot is still up in the air. But one thing that I'm so excited to do is I'm going to be hosting my own sports show on the Talking Elite Fitness channel. And it's this idea that I've had in my head for like, I would say probably around 6 months or so. I'm not going to totally give it away because we're still like working out some of the like graphic elements and kind of game show vibe, but
fun.
talking about those really important topics that are in the space. And it's gonna have like a debate style. It's gonna have roundtable discussion. I'm gonna award people points. I might even take away points from people. Ooh. So it's gonna be like a really cool way to like talk about different conversations in a way that's entertaining to the viewer. So that should be coming probably around the time that individual quarterfinals happens. I'm hoping that's when like the first episode launches.
I think you should award points for the rest of the show to me and Nikki, just for random things. 3 points for Nikki for that last question.
Yes. And I'll have like a little tab in the corner, and I hope it like kind of dings as like, maybe we'll call them reps instead of points. Like people will earn reps. Yeah.
4 reps to Gryffindor. That's all I can think of. Yes, please. Sign me up. I'm so here for this. Oh my God. Lauren, this is so epic. Like, can you even believe that like this is now your full-time job? This is the thing. This is like what you're doing for money to like eat and live.
Yes, and to like pay my mortgage and to give my dogs the best life possible. Like, yeah. It's crazy to me because, and maybe you can relate with this too, like working in television and then even like my previous job, you kind of become calloused to thinking that certain things need to be that way. And that's just like how it is. Like in my whole professional career, I've been a workhorse who if you ask me, I'm like, I don't need somebody to tell me I'm doing good to know I'm doing a good job. Like I'm driven by like me being able to go to bed at the end of the day and knowing that I put like 110% in. And I could literally cry right now because for the first time ever, I'm getting affirmation that I am doing a good job. And like the first time my boss, Charlie, Doobie, he's an amazing like human.
Literally the best human ever.
Yeah. If anybody ever has a chance to like meet him at events, like he is so nice. But after like week 1 of the open, and he just sent me this long, super thoughtful text to just tell me like how happy like him and everybody else were to like have me on the team and like how great they thought I was doing. And I'm just like, I don't even know how to like receive this compliment right now. Like, what? Like, my mom is the only one that's ever like, yeah, honey, you're doing great. We just watched the 6 o'clock news. Oh, you were so great. You know what I mean? Like things like that. So it's just, it's interesting to now like be in an environment where I feel so supportive. And I'm so excited for like where I'm going to take this and what we're going to do.
It's well deserved. And I know it's hard to like accept that kind of feedback, especially, you know, given the environment you were working in for so long. But like, it's true, Lauren, like you've earned every single fucking stripe you have, you know, like that. You absolutely deserve to be in a place where you've got a team that supports you and where you are, you know, getting like basic human rights and wages. Imagine that. But also doing what you love. Like how fun. Like this is so much more fun and less stressful than like the house fire down the street.
So much better. So much better. Oh my gosh. It's so funny because like I always, like my whole television career, I felt like this is my passion, but it will be better at the next job that I move to in television. Yes. Like I love this, but something's not right at this TV station or whatever. And like after every move, I just never felt this like genuine happiness the way that I do now. And it's so funny because I mean, it's so corny, but I do believe everything happens for a reason. And you never know it in the moment. And there was a lot of like dark times and uncertainty. And I'm like, why did I get a journalism degree? Like that was so stupid. Like now I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just not just working at my affiliate, but it's like, I have this degree that not like I'm doing social media, but that isn't really what I went to school for. And now I'm finally seeing like, oh, like you worked in TV for 8 years so that you know how to ask hard questions in a way that isn't going to piss somebody off, or at least I hope to. Like that's always the goal, is to be able to sometimes have hard conversations with people, but like not like ruin a relationship, just be able to have like good productive conversation.
I always think you'd be surprised how many people just can't communicate. It's true. Like when you do it for a living or you're really good at it, or John, you have this too, like you manage people, like your communication and relationship skills need to be on point. And when you do it so often and it feels like second nature, it starts to feel like common sense. And it kind of isn't. Like you would be surprised how many people absolutely just cannot communicate. So I feel this all the time in my big girl job, where communications and relationship management is like the crux of my position. And every so often my coworkers will be like, oh my God, thank God you were on that call. Like we never would have been able to figure that shit out without you. And I'm like, really? Are you sure? Like, are you sure you couldn't have just like had that call without me and been fine? And they're like, oh my God, no. And you forget that like, it's truly not common sense to everyone. And so flexing your communication skills and also, Lauren, your technical skills of like shooting, editing, like working on a deadline, like doing that stuff that we've been so trained to do in TV, like flexing that across mediums and across topics and across types of people, like it is not a skill that everybody has, even though it might feel like second nature to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I never really thought of it that way, because it's just like, I mean, being early to things is just always how it is for me, because you can't be late to anchor the 5 p.m. news. Like if you show up at 5:01, you are deeply screwed.
Right.
So it's like even those little things, and yeah, just communicating with people. But I mean, I love it. It truly doesn't feel like work. Like even though I'm on the road a lot, and I even talk about like how, oh man, my fitness isn't where I would like it to be. It's coming at like this other great happiness that I have of like I do feel like my cup is full. Like I'm so happy. Genuinely, I am.
Yay.
Well,
Yay.
I'm happy for you, Lauren. And you know what would make me happier is to talk about shoving things in our mouth hole. So, Nikki, we need to talk
Oh,
about
let's do that.
our sponsor, Airwave.
That's smart. Yes.
Yes, they will. They'll help you with your fitness, Lauren. You need to get an Airwave and shove it in your
I
mouth
know.
hole.
Yeah.
You'll be so much fitter.
You do. Have you tried one yet, Lauren? Have you tried an Airwave?
I have not.
Okay, we'll have to get you one. It's really cool. I will tell you about it. It's a mouthpiece, right? It sits like right on your bottom teeth, and you can mold it and remold it as many times as you need to. And it is not at all like what I originally thought, which was like those like mouth guards you used to put in when you played like field hockey in high school. Not like that at all. No, not like that at all. It's like very low profile. It sits very comfortably in your mouth. You can like talk and breathe and whatever with it. And it just like, it positions your jaw in a way that allows for more and better airflow into your body. And it has all sorts of benefits, like you can bite down on it, and that helps release cortisol, and that helps with your muscle and fatigue recovery. And it helps you like basically not hit a wall during long Metcons. And just like, there's so many benefits to wearing it. And I would encourage you and everyone listening to go back. A while ago, we did an episode with the scientist who actually was brought onto the Airwave team to try and disprove it. She was like, there's no way this shit works. Yeah. She was like, there's no way. I don't believe it. She's like, I'm going to run all sorts of studies. And at the end of the day, TLDR, she's basically like, oh shit, this actually is real. And there is science and data to back it up. So it's also hilarious to say, put it in your mouth hole. So put it in your mouth hole, give it a try. It'll help your fitness. And there is a discount code for our listeners. If you want to give it a try, it's KC10. It's Airwave, AIRWAAV, all the A's.
All the A's.
All the A's.
Lauren, did you hear my transition to the mouth hole comment and go, why was he not in TV all these years?
All these years.
So good at it. So
Crazy.
good at that natural transition. Just like that.
I love it. I do know somebody that called the Pope the poop.
I can't. No.
Yeah. Things get weird on the teleprompter sometimes.
True. Oh my God. Did you ever have to run your own prompter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. So at one station I had like the hand, and then at the other station I had the foot.
The pedal.
You can't trust that. So I literally would put the pedal like on my lap and use my hand with the foot pedal. And there was this like, they changed over to like a new system. And at the top of every show during the teases, only for the 7 p.m., we like launched at 7 p.m. It would only happen at the show. The thing would have a mind of its own and just like scroll. And literally at like 6:59 every night that I would do the 7, I'm just like, okay, it's not going to happen. Like, it's fine. And then it would happen every single time.
Every time. There's no fear quite like the prompter just doing whatever the fuck it wants, like live on the air. And you're supposed to like move your scripts around and do whatever. But when you're running your own prompter and looking at the thing and trying to whatever, there's no way. You can't do it all. There is no fear like prompter gives out in the middle of the
It's
just
your stomach sinks and you're like, well, hopefully they throw up some video and I have enough knowledge about this topic to talk about the video I see on the screen.
Just riff. You wrote the scripts anyway. Just riff. I hate it. Well, let me tell you something that I love. This is really important. And I do want to touch upon this. Like, you doing everything that you've been doing, from revitalizing MCU's YouTube page to now being a part of the Talking Elite Fitness team and figuring out what your role within that universe is going to look like. You are adding another female voice to all things sort of like CrossFit or the sport of CrossFit related. And I think that is huge. It's important. And it is like, it's authoritative, and it's like, it's just big. Like, we don't have enough, in my opinion. We don't have enough women who are out there being like, I'm going to run the show. I'm going to ask the questions. I'm going to give my own goddamn opinion. Like, I'm not just going to be like, and what do you think? And I just think it's great. I think it's great. I think it's huge. I'm so happy to see it. And I don't know. I think it's growing everything in the right direction. And the more people and brands and groups bring women like you out into the forefront of everything, the more other people are going to do it too. And it's a rising tide, blah, 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 blah. I feel like I've said rising tide on like our last 4 shows, John.
We're changing the name of the show to Kettlebells and Rising Tides.
Kettlebells and Rising Tides. And it's really important. And do you feel that? Like, do you kind of like understand the weight of what you're doing in that respect?
When you say it, I do. I think like in the moment, I don't much like think of it unless like a topic is talked about. Like for instance, me, Sean, and Tommy recorded something earlier today, and we were talking about how Haley Adams isn't competing this year, and the post that she put out. And we were just, kind of talking about it and how, we think that she's so brave to put it out there, but also like I brought up the point of, well, I'm sure a lot of what maybe us as like commentators have said has been triggering, because we talked about how for so many years she's got to get stronger. She's got to get stronger. And like with strength, like your body changes, and how just like that kind of concept could possibly like be a trigger for her. And just to kind of both to see and be like, oh, like we've never thought about it like that. And maybe that's just because like from like my own demons, and just knowing that, yeah, like women go through like all of these hormonal changes, and you like go through puberty, but then like if you are an athlete, you almost go through like a second puberty. So like first when you're a little bit younger, but now that like your muscles and your body is really starting to fill out, it's like you're all of a sudden you've gained like this weight that all you see is on the scale. And I think just topics about women in sports, and like I just feel like there's so much room for like conversations that aren't being talked about in the sport that are relative, that I hope that at some point I can kind of be a contributor to help drive some of those conversations forward. And I mean, I have really like big goals and big visions of where I want to take this sport, and where I see like my role as having a voice. And I just, I kind of have my blinders on right now, and I'm like, nobody's going to get in my way.
Yes.
Because I have something to say, and I feel like I'm just like at the beginning of it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I think that's super important. And I think that you're setting an example, which is huge, right? Like we're the first wave of any of this CrossFit shit. Like all of us are. Like we've all been doing it now for a little while, but it's certainly going to stick around for generations to come. And athletes are only going to get better, and topics are only going to get crazier. And I hope that 50 years down the road, when this is a much more mainstream sport, hopefully, and there's continued coverage and continued media and more podcasts and whatever, that it ends up being like a great 50-50 split of men and women contributing to the conversation across the board. And
well, I mean, it's one of the only
yeah.
sports that like we do see men and women like treated equally. For instance, like you look at pay purses, the men's pay purse is never bigger than the women's. They're equal. And even you look at like athletes getting sponsorship opportunities. I would almost say that maybe like women even get more opportunities because their presence on social media tends to be stronger than men on social media. And I mean, that could be wrong. This is just, my own opinion from what I see.
No, it's accurate. That's right.
So I think that when it comes to like commentating and having a voice in the sport, like why wouldn't it be the same? Yeah. Why shouldn't it be?
CrossFit is an interesting sport compared to other sports. Like I was just watching HBO, and they have a special on right now about the women's soccer team fighting for equal pay. And I was sitting there thinking about it and comparing it to CrossFit. And there's a fundamental difference between when you take like WNBA and NBA or women's soccer or men's soccer, and the attendance that comes with those, because they don't play at the same time. You have two different crowds watching, right?
Yeah.
CrossFit's different. You have one crowd watching both people going at the same time. And that's really, that speaks to the community, which I think is really, really cool and different. And to your point, I think really is a shining example of what women's sports can be and should be. They don't have to be separate. Like, why are you playing them at the different? I realize, like, WNBA and NBA, they're not going to play at the exact same time, but you get my point. It's like, they're equally exciting if you allow it to be. That's kind of the point.
Yeah. The herd mentality has to change across the board. We're talking about like a fundamental shift in how people view and understand. I mean, these women's sports haven't even been around as long. Like, they have much less of a legacy behind them. So, there's a lot of change that has to happen, but it's not going to happen if people like you, Lauren, don't push for it. So.
Oh, and I'm gonna push.
Yay!
Yes, move over. I'm coming through.
That's right.
I was thinking about it. I watched something Sean was on the other day, and he's wearing glasses now, and I'm like, that bitch stole my look. And then they hired you, and I'm like, all right, now he went and got himself a Nikki. So.
Oh my God, you're right.
That's so funny.
I'm gonna go hire a 7-foot Latino just to pay it off. You know what I mean?
Hey.
Like, that's all we can do. Like, we got to go get our Tommy somehow. I don't know how we're gonna make this work, but man.
You know what's funny is, like, I don't feel at all like there's room. Not only is there room for us, like, there's room for more. Like, more chicks. Bring it on. Let's do it. Like, I just think that the more people who are dedicated to telling the stories within the sport, the better. And I'm all about it. I love everything about it. I think feels like one big happy family. Truly.
The more people you bring in, the more creative people get.
Hell yeah.
Like
100%.
Like, as our show has evolved, kind of away from the sport to some degree, because Tommy and Sean have traditionally done such a great job covering it. Like, there's not a lot of need for us to log on quickly and do open announcements anymore like we used to. Like, everybody's doing that. And, Nikki and I prefer to tell the human stories, like having you on and others, and I think the more people that come in, the more creative others will get in how they're covering the sport and the community, for that matter. So I hope everybody comes in. Let's do it. As many as we can have. More content, the better.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I feel like we're all kind of at this like time where I do feel really hopeful with the sport and the direction that it's going in. And I feel like we will see change in a good way. I feel like it has to. I mean, because people like myself, like you guys, other thought leaders in the space, we're going to hold people accountable, and we're not going to stand for anything less.
So now that you're not at the Morning Chalkup anymore, who's going to tell the E. coli story in the lake? Like, or
I had to bring it up, John. Okay, I want to straighten the record.
Set it straight.
That I did not say anything about who was to blame for what happened in the water.
I couldn't help myself, Lauren. I'm sorry.
The individual that did was never given the clearance or review to say the words and thoughts that came out of that individual's mouth. So,
you know what? You don't work there anymore, so
it ain't my problem.
I hardly know anybody there now. When Presley left, I messaged her. I'm like, who turned the lights out on the way out? Like, come on. Like, I don't know what's going on.
We both had the same last day.
I know, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
I'm no longer in cahoots. I don't know who to talk to.
Oh my God, like you were ever in cahoots with the Morning Chalkup. My God.
Well, yeah, because I knew Lauren and Presley. So
well, that's true.
He had an inside source.
That's true. That's fair.
But Lauren would message me and she's like, hey, I need a guest on the show. Do you have an opinion on this? I'm like, I have an opinion on everything.
Everything. Bring it on.
Back when you gave me that response, I was like, this is what I needed.
Yeah. It's true. But now I don't know anyone, so no one gets blessed with my opinions
Yeah.
anymore. It's
You
very sad.
you know Joe. I think
That's
Joe
true.
I had on with you. Yes, he was
Sure.
also bald with glasses.
He's a good looking man. I'm just saying, he's a good looking guy.
Joe is the best.
Yeah, Joe's great people. He is.
Yeah.
He's genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm not slamming on Morning Chalkup. This is actually kind of a, just a curiosity to me. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate this. And I've watched them navigate from the very beginning, and we all have, and they, for a while, they were like kind of top of the heap. And then you've got a lot of other people coming in, and the competitive landscape changed within CrossFit Media, if that's what we're going to call ourselves. I'm going to put me in parentheses as media. Um, and then they brought in some some real talent like yourself, and then now it's gone. It'll be interesting to see them navigate that. Can they backfill it? Like, because it's you're a hard act to follow, Lauren. So it'll be.
Well, I don't even think that it's just like me leaving. I think it's collectively the people who have left in the last 6 months. And I mean, even like Nikki, when you left, like good people who are hard workers in the space. And I think that, like, I don't think a couple people leaving is necessarily like the demise of a company or the end of an era or whatever. But I do think that and I think that what they do between like the community stories, the newsy stories, the in-depth pieces that they put out, I do believe like wholeheartedly that it's something that's necessary in the space, because right now you do see some of these other outlets that like are super quick to post things, but it's almost just like a headline. Like for me as a journalist, it's not enough. Like I want to go deeper. Like I like the thought behind like getting things out quickly, but then I'm like, well, now I have all of these other questions. Like, is there anybody out there asking these questions, interviewing these people? And I think that people at Morning Chalkup have got, some of them have done like a good job about like telling some of those stories. But I do think that in order for it to move forward as a company, that there needs to be big shifts in leadership, and there needs to be accountability.
The interesting thing to me is that, they started as a newsletter, and I know there's still a newsletter, but it was like a real raw, like, here's your email, here's what's going on in the CrossFit community, when no one else was providing that except for the CrossFit Journal. That was it, and the community was starved for anything they could get, and Greg wasn't giving it to them. No offense to Greg, it's just like he wasn't. And so that was their kind of their comeuppance was, hey, here's this kind of empty vacuum. And then as more stuff has come in, it's felt like they've tried to evolve with it. And I've always wondered, like, do they need to stick with that folksy newsletter thing? Like, is that their niche and will it last forever? Or do they need to find a hardcore evolution and meet their readers or their viewers where they are? Like the needs of this community are different now than they were 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we had nothing. They were it. You wanted to hear about some gym out in Timbuktu doing great work, you went to Morning Chalkup. Now you can get it in 10 different places.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder for them, what will that evolution look like? Or do they even need to? I'm not giving them advice. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. Like, what will it look like for them? Because I'd like to see them be successful. They're an OG. I'm not wishing them bad karma by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just curious how it's going to shake out for them, particularly as they lose top talent like yourself and Presley, so. It'll be weird. We shall see.
Yeah.
Sorry. The business guy in me like starts these musings and
I know. Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. I mean, there's a lot of turnover in media, period, regardless of the silo, regardless of whatever. So there's a lot of people who, I say this every year, there's a lot of people who want my job. Every single year when people are like, are you going back to the games? Are you going to be at semis? Are you going to be wherever? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know until they call me, and I don't plan on it until my plane ticket is booked, because I have seen crazier shit happen over the last 2 decades working in media. So truly, I know a lot of people want my job, and someday they're not going to call me because there's someone else who's going to want to step in. So I just feel like there's so much turnover in media that like anything can happen from here on out. And I just really hope that the tide rises for everyone. And, and we get more coverage and more people out there and more stories told. And that helps everyone. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, and I love that there's like finally other competitors and other outlets out there, because to me, that tells me that there's a healthy ecosystem for it, because there's constant content being created. I mean, I was just talking today to somebody that like works in CrossFit content, and he was like, our views have gone down, but I feel like we're putting out better content. And he was like kind of making the argument that maybe the industry or the space is like a little bit oversaturated right now, because like there's so many places to get it. And I don't think that like he's wrong about it, but I also don't think that that's a bad thing. I think right now, so many people jumped into the space kind of at the same time that, viewership, listenership, subscribers, whatever, are trying to figure out like what they like and where they want to consume their content, that it's kind of fun to, like, I don't know, if I used to have like an athlete on a show, I would love to then like go to like you guys or to another outlet and be like, oh, they had this person on too. I'm curious like what their thought process was to interview. And then I'm like, oh, they asked that question. That was a really good question. Like, I should start like framing my questions that way. And I just feel like it's not only good for the community, but it also like makes us level up our game to want to be better.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think the CrossFit space is too saturated, though. I mean, I've humbly have had the best growth I've had in 4 years in the last 3 months. And so I don't. And there's, trust me when I tell you, there's every Tom, Dick, and Harry creating memes and posts and podcasts and
yeah, you hit 400,000 followers.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, but it's like, and so I guess my point is that, I don't think it's oversaturated. I think you just like, you have to evolve and find what people want. And I found some evolutionary metrics within what I target and what I'm going after to find that growth and reach more people. And not everybody agrees with it, I might add, but it's what you have to do, and this podcast is no different. Like, we had the best year we've ever had last year with all these other podcasts out and doing far different content than we've ever done before, so.
And that's because you've experimented and you've tried and you're like, what do people want to consume? And you've evolved that, and it's made probably you guys better at your job now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think for me, the people that will win, whoever comes into the space or people that are in now, you have to be relatable and authentic. Those are the two things you have to be. And if you never forget that, like, be yourself, be authentic. But you do have to put out content that others can relate to. You can't just, tilt at windmills. I think they'll do well, but you also have to dedicate a lot of time to it too. It's shit's time consuming.
Dude, it is. Ain't that the truth? Well, Lauren knows she hasn't been home in like 3 weeks.
I know, right?
Yes, it is, but I wouldn't want to be doing any other thing.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I'm excited for you. I was very excited to see you joining Talking Elite Fitness, because I love those guys. Sean, true story. When I started this podcast, I flew out to California to meet Greg. I had my different co-host. This is pre-Nikki, so PN
PN
times. And I flew out to Santa Cruz, and I was way more ballsy then. And I just reached out to Sean, just messaged him and said, hey, if you're around, I'd like to meet you. I did not know him at all. We never really spoken much, just like a few jokes here and there. And he's like, yeah, I'll take you to dinner. And he drove like an hour to meet me and my co-host for dinner. And then he bought us dinner. And, just typical Sean. Just
such a great person.
Yeah, just like the nicest dude. And I've never forgotten that. It's like, here I was, like the new guy on the street. I hadn't even released an episode yet, not a single one. And, he's out here giving me tips and taking me to dinner and just salt of the earth. So I've never forgotten that. So I'm super excited to see you join their team, because, they've been successful and I know you'll make them more successful. So it's great stuff.
They're just great, genuine people. And that's really all I want to do. I just want to like do great work alongside great people. Like, that's it.
Mhm.
I'm not asking for too much.
You're really not.
Yeah.
You're really not.
But they elevate me as well. Like having a team of people, and I'm sure like Nikki and John, you guys feel this, but one of you has an idea about a podcast you want to do, and you start talking about it, and all these ideas start filling the air, and it's fun. It's fun to have those conversations with people, and it's nice that like I have the team of Sean and Tommy and like other people that are in the room with us, or on virtual, they're in a room together.
Right.
It's fun.
Right.
Well, Nikki and I are never that well planned, Lauren. We just kind of wing it, but
Truly.
don't tell anyone.
Yeah. It's fine.
Nobody would ever know.
We're actually the best planned we've ever been right now. I have like the next month and a half like completely scheduled.
That's crazy.
And
Wow.
that is
for
really,
you.
really rare for me. Really
Yeah.
rare.
Talk about flying by
I
the
love
seat
it.
of our pants.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. Don't worry
Those
about
life.
it. That's the most authentic and genuine we can be, John.
Well, this is true.
What are we doing?
Figure it out as you go.
Truly. Oh God.
All right,
Well, okay. Keep us posted, Lauren. Like, what are the best places where people can like find you, follow you, like keep up with this
Yes.
journey?
Sure. People can follow me on Instagram. I make it really easy to find me. It's just my name at Lauren Kalil. And you basically know where I am or what I am doing if you follow that account.
Sweet. Perfect.
Yeah. You'll see a lot of fitness, a lot of dogs. That's my account.
Those are my favorite things. Those
Those
are
are-
my
yeah.
absolute favorite things.
Where-
I'm here
where
for
we-
all
Are
of
we
it.
going to run into you at semis? Are you going to be in Orlando?
So I'll probably be in Orlando. Right now we're trying to still figure out our semifinals plan, whether I'll do like studio stuff from Santa Cruz. They actually just made like a broadcast studio in their office, which is awesome. So I'll either be there or I'll be on site. So TBD.
Wow. Sean and Tommy going big time. Our broadcast
Hey.
studio is in Nikki's kitchen and my guitar room. Great.
Yeah.
It looks good though.
John's room looks really nice. I've been sitting in my half made up office for the last like 8 months. Someday I'll finish it. We'll see.
We're gonna do a whole episode on the money pit that Nikki lives in right now, but that's a totally
my
different
God.
episode.
You guys don't want to know. You
Totally different
truly don't want to know.
All right. Well, Lauren, thank you for giving us some time, particularly
Yeah, thank
while
you
you're
guys.
out on the road, and I'm sure would like to be resting as opposed to just talking to us. So thank you.
No,
Yeah.
I'm glad that we had a alcohol-free happy hour together.
The saddest happy hour ever.
Next time in person with Dirty Shirley's, Nikki.
Okay. Sign me up.
Mhm.
Okay. Amazing.
I don't even know what
They're
that is.
delicious.
They sound great.
Me either, but I'm not
It
asking
is.
questions. I'm just doing it.
Yep.
All right.
Just come. I'll show you the way.
Okay.
I'll take it. All right. Well, thanks for joining. And for everyone listening, appreciate you guys joining this week, and we will catch up with you guys soon.